Welcome to Nintendo Ninja News. I'm your host, Chris Dices, and we're here to talk about GammaCon, the Canberra Pop Culture Expo, and it hit its 10th anniversary. However, they've been running into quite a few problems and issues that I've noticed over the years that's sort of been bubbling up, and I feel like, especially with this convention gone by, people now starting to really complain about certain aspects of the convention and stuff like that. Now, we used to go there quite a few times, and we've done our sort of movies and things like that. And we've had a lot of fun there, stuff like that. However, I did not go this year for the first time since the last time they held it, which was like 2014, which was the first year. So I've been to nearly every single one. And the reason why was that last year I went, I only stayed for 2 or 3 hours because it was exactly the same thing as previous years. So we mainly lurk around in the video game section because we are a gaming channel. And it was the same cut and copy section from previous years. Bunch of old retro consoles, the same sort of companies or brands in Canberra, maybe a couple indie games being made in Canberra, a little bit of esports, Smash Brothers tournament, all that sort of generic stuff. And it felt like it was the same recycled stuff from year on year end. There wasn't anything particularly of interest for me to film. And it's like, why should I film something that I've done already in previous years? So let's have a look at some stuff that we've noticed online. So, so as you can see here, we've been there for a number of years and we've made some pretty long films, right? Ones that have gone for an hour and a half to 3 hours, showcasing all the different things in GammaCon. And I'm sure that for people who go to GammaCon, your average person will like, dressing up in cosplay and seeing their friends and stuff like that. And that's great for them. However, there has been some issues bubbling under, which was a non-for-profit association. Now they're a company, which I was surprised to find out. They changed over from 2022 in recent times, if my information is correct. So I'm not too sure why they did that, but that's what it is now. So let's have a look at their website. This is who they are. The events they do run a Rulagon Light and a Wagga Light, which is basically a 1 day convention compared to the 2 day convention that is in Canberra. Their history, which basically, which the first one was at the ANU, then they went to the Highlander Club, which I was there in 2015. They moved to the IIS Sports Arena. They kept growing and doing pretty well, to be honest. They went rural. They obviously expanded there. 500 attendees, not bad. Then they went to the Expedition Park, which was another expansion. They got a couple sort of international guests, which was pretty cool in 2019. 2020 didn't happen. Big thing called COVID happened. I think we all know that. Don't need to explain. 2021 was a little strange because they tried to do the convention basically very close to Christmas Day. And I think I mentioned it in some live streams here on the channel, going, as soon as they reveal they want to do this, and I said, you know what? That's going to get cancelled because that's a really dumb idea. And guess what? The dumb idea got cancelled. Surprise, surprise. So they came back in 2022. I don't remember where it was. I have no idea. But the issue is they kept chipping and changing venues and locations. And obviously, it says here last year's incorporated association will now move to a company that will open new opportunities for the show to expand and show Australia wide. Ooh, Australia wide, I think you might need to get your Canberra show in order before you try to conquer the whole country, that might be something you might need to do first. So here are some of the issues that some people have been talking about, and sort of my vibes and feelings on it. So here on the old Facebook, they're saying, "Thank you, Canberra. Ah, what a way to celebrate. Thank you for coming along." Here's the funny thing about it: they did not make a single social media post during the event. Now, you would think the busiest time for your social media would be during the convention event itself, during the weekday. You know, it's like if the AFL didn't make any tweets or Facebook posts during the grand final. It's like if Nintendo did not make any tweets or posts on the launch day of a brand new console or a new Zelda or Mario game. It's quite astonishing. And it's quite strange there were no social media posts during the event itself. They said, "Oh, we apologize. It was quite busy and we just couldn't get to it. But we promise there's a whole lot of images coming soon." I'm like, well, it's a bit late now. I mean, it just seemed a bit. And heck, they even liked my post. And I'm kind of saying, well, guys, you really dropped the ball. I mean, you completely dropped several balls, all the balls, for that type of thing. So that was quite interesting for that type of thing. So no one had an idea what was going on during the weekend and stuff like that. But one interesting thing, this person I think I know, yet you still won't do anything regarding accessibility to the event or respond to other people's comments about the same thing. Year after year, several of us folk living with different disabilities say that the event has challenges for people with mobility issues, yet year after year you do nothing. It's not that hard. Wonderful disability advocate services and groups in Canberra that you can contact prior to make sure that everything looks okay for people with disability, which is very, very true. And like I've seen a couple people make the same complaints and feedback to GammaCon over the years. And even I didn't know where like the lift was or mobility stuff. So I don't have physical mobility issues like these folks here. I do have problems with my knees. We all know the jokes during the live streams. I got to go and stretch every hour and a half before my knees sort of play up on me. So, I'm not the biggest fan of lots of stairs. So something like a lift or, 4 or 5 flights of stairs is fine, small steps, but a lift is nice to use if you have mobility problems, especially if you are in a wheelchair or you are having a walker or different types of disabilities like that. Unfortunately, GammaCon does not cater to the disabled people of Canberra. They haven't done it for many years. Even if they've had feedback from the people who attend the convention, they just don't care. I think that's basically it. If you've been giving the same feedback for years on end, don't go to the convention because they just don't care. Or unless they can't find a venue that helps out people with disabilities, I just don't think that it's not a top priority for them for some reason. They just don't seem to care that much. So, and they keep going on about there's so many resources designed for creating accessibility spaces and events available. There's no reason that big events, especially experienced ones, should exclude people due to lack of planning, which is true. This is the other one. I went this year, and the food vendors were on the grass. I left feedback about it, and the gates were set up in a way that it was hard to get from the road when I dropped off to the ticket checking area. I had to go behind and through the booth to get to the front of the line, as I couldn't go from the back due to the gates and the curbs. I'm in a wheelchair and struggled on the grass. Oh, for fuck's sake. How the hell are you supposed to get food if you're in a wheelchair and you're trying to move your wheelchair through the grass? I mean, imagine if it was actually raining a little bit in Canberra recently, and it just means you're just spinning wheels and mudding up the grass. Like, Jesus. They actually hosted this place at a race ground area, thoroughbred race ground area in Canberra, which is the most bizarre venue around. And I thought, why they're hosting it there. It's not appropriate for a convention. It's almost like they just don't think about finding the right venue. It's quite strange. Oh well, there's one happy person. One person goes, without going on a rant, Gamma management need to seriously assess feedback and work on solutions because right now the community, including vendors, aren't with you. I'm appalled to see the cosplay side of things were handled in comparison to recent years, especially when feedback in previous years were so solid. Please also drop the use of the name Naughty Nerds. It's tasteless and gross. If I'm being blunt, go back to Gamma at night. It does sound like a better name. So Naughty Nerds is like the 18 plus events where burlesque dancing and all the all the 18 plus type stuff. I did talk to one person about it. They said it was pretty boring. There wasn't much there going for it. It's just one person I spoke to, but if it's like the rest of the event during the day, probably not too surprised if it's managed by the same people that there are problems there as well. Said as someone who previously plays GammaCon, is the number one on the convention list to attend or recommend, and a whole bunch of people agreed with that too. Now, the interesting thing, this comment, as a previous head of cosplay when GammaCon was still a non-for-profit organisation, it's sad to hear that the information I left about cosplay seems to have been misplaced. Probably misplaced or put through the paper shredder. Probably was misplaced. I hope to hear better from Gamma in future. Previous community members really do wish to see Gamma thrive, but hearing reviews about the event backsliding when it changed to a for-profit organisation is very disheartening. So maybe the priorities are more profit-based than rather running a good event that would get more people to come and surprise more people, more money. Kind of makes sense, doesn't it? As someone who was in the upstairs artists alley, I must say that there were so many obvious signs of poor accessibility for all geeks alike, using a walking cane, mobility issues, stuff like that. So that's another comment about. I mean, lucky I didn't turn up because I've been doing a bit of work myself on walking around, standing up, and I don't think my knees would have been able to handle this event. Someone commented it was a tiny elevator. Now, tiny elevators are not really good if you've got like large wheelchairs and walking frames and stuff like that. So that's bad. Someone said I did Artists Alley, and just my opinion, I think you guys could have done a bit better with the location. I understand that other venues are being worked on and it's hard to manage the space. I definitely get that. But myself, as well as a lot of my artist friends, found my friends struggling a bit having the room upstairs, and then the little tent outside was a little strange. I'm sure 80% of customers had no idea there was an artist alley upstairs. Anywhere but Thoroughbred Park would have been a bit better. Yeah, I think that's a pretty poor event too. All right, that's one positive one. And someone's like, where's the footage and posts of the event that you were supposed to do during the actual event? And they're like, oh, we're just waiting for our professional photographers to come back. Once we have them, they will be posted. It's like, okay, well, a bit late now. I mean, it's kind of fun to see that stuff during the event instead of like a few days after. It's a bit crappy. So, but let's look on Twitter. And you can see that the vibe is a little bit different here. Or similar. Just a couple comments about being at GammaCon. GammaCon was wild, but probably going to be my last one for me, which is a bit sad. Another one, which is this one. Yeah, maybe not next year, but I hope to sell at Comic Con next year instead. So, forward to, and like the poor lady, she is sitting like next to a whole bunch of chairs. It seems like she's like in some sort of eating room or something. I don't know where they put her, but she seems like a nice person. Some really cool artwork down there too. Go join her Twitter if you like to support the good artists of Australia. for those people watching internationally. But yeah, some cool artwork. But like, sort of, especially when you're placing artists out of sight, out of mind, it doesn't help. However, we've saved the juiciest one for last, which is going to be a little bit eye opening. So, this one. Someone was there and the tent was leaking. Now, nothing sexier than seeing water and electrical cords come together because I don't know. I think somewhere in my science class I was taught that's not really safe for some reason. I don't know. I didn't really pay attention to it. You see some of the groundwork not particularly pleasant. So cool. Let's have a look at how cool it was. Ooh, that's a bit of rain, and that's what is that? A tent? Ooh, that's not cool. That does not look safe. I think any electrician would say that is not a safe area to put things in. But it gets this person carries on and says the con has been open for half an hour. Someone is finally mopping up the wet walkways. We've yet to see the organisers or any staff even check on the situation. A little bit of mopping there. But wait, it gets slightly better. These are the only heating we had in with us yesterday when it was -5 degrees. Please note, indoor use may cause death. Now, GammaCon might say, well, it may cause death. It's not guaranteed. So cross your fingers and you'll be okay. Next tweet goes on. They took them away after 4 hours because people were complaining about smelling gases. I mean, if you want to go to a convention, this is the place to go to if you want to be smelling outdoor heater gases. That's got to smell good. It's 6 degrees right now, no heating whatsoever, but at least, or unfortunately, we're not going to be killed by the provided heaters. That's a positive. I'm going to say that. They tried to turn the heater back on. I had to talk this volunteer out of it. Was told it's well ventilated enough. By which I said, we're in an enclosed space. No, it's not. Okay. Yeah, that's not real good. That's not good. They asked if it was warm enough without it. I said, no, it's fucking freezing. But can you not turn this on while you were there? Because I don't want to smell the gases and risk, that slight chance of death. You get what I mean? And they say, oh no, come to the table vendor on the top floor if you get the chance. There's no winning apparently. I'll come, man, all that sort of stuff. And they're wondering why you're in a tent. They don't even know why. Away from the main building, which doesn't help when you're trying to get sales as an artist. They said, holy shit, didn't think it could get worse. And keeps getting worse and worse. How is this shit legal? I don't know about the legality of this sort of stuff. Trying to accidentally gas your participants to a convention. I'm sure they're not doing it on purpose, but wow, what an incredibly dumb thing to do for that type of thing. So, as you can tell, and this has been quite a long video, GammaCon has a few problems. They have a few problems they need to address in terms of the organisation of people with disabilities. The artist section, the vendors are not particularly happy. The venue itself is poor. The guests, beauty and the gig people, and the main guests were not particularly. People were like, not particularly thrilled about it. And obviously, some of the other issues about the cosplay stuff and all that sort of stuff needs to be addressed, and better signage for people with disabilities and things like that. But you can tell that there's a range of issues that GammaCon needs to do now. Is it going to get better or worse now that the basically a business company instead of a non-for-profit association? Are they going to be thinking more about the profit dollar instead of making a good convention, which ironically would make you more money if you do a really good job and you make people feel more included into it? But I just don't think so with the current group that's in there at the moment. Because I kind of, when they did the 2021 event, they tried to do it Christmas time. And I thought that seemed to be a really silly thing to do. And then last year I was disappointed. And then this year, me deciding not to go for the first time in a long time. And then seeing some of the problems, I'm like spent a better weekend sitting at home playing video games and catching up on sleep. I think I came out a winner in that, but it is sad to see GammaCon like this. I've had some really good fun times running around and filming and meeting lots of interesting people, and of course they can say they're the biggest pop culture convention in Canberra because they're their only pop culture convention in Canberra. I mean, you know, um, that's the thing. But I do hope that they sort of really improve because Canberra is a small place. Maybe you can get away with this in a Sydney and a Melbourne. Actually, you probably wouldn't because they might be laughed out of town the way they've organised this. But Canberra's a small place. And if people are not happy with how things are done, it's going to spread like a little bushfire all around Canberra because a lot of people just know about the problems such as you've seen on Facebook and on Twitter and things like that. People were like, well, it used to be a good convention, but I don't want to go anymore. Which is a shame because you've seen, I've shown you the short films we used to do, had a lot of fun, all that sort of stuff. But it is a shame. And hopefully, maybe some people are watching this and hopefully that they can really knuckle down and have a think about people with disabilities getting a venue spot that's actually good for crying out loud and getting better guests and just overall running a better convention that isn't the same old stuff that I've seen from a video games point of view. Something new, interesting, and different instead of just offering up the same stuff from year in, year out. But I'll see what will happen with GammaCon. Maybe I'll go next year and just see if it dissolves into a complete train wreck. I don't know. But I don't want it to fail. I do want them to do better. And hopefully, this might be enough criticism for them to go, okay, we need to sort this out. But I have ranted enough on this video. It is late and I'm going to be hopping off. But let me know what you think. What do you think are the hallmarks of a good pop culture convention? Type in your comments. What do you think is things that you like to see at conventions that are good? They might get some tips from you folks in the comments. So that is it for me, and I'll see you next time.